when you walk with open arms towards the sun. You feel the warmth of the rays, and then you know you're alive, and you don't have to be afraid of anything, 'cause you know.
Welcome to the Bassline. Sri Master Gano Grills is an author, a public speaker, and a spiritual advisor. He helps people decode the esoteric world. Here to discuss his work, invite you to a weekly series happening this month, as well as provide some insights into the COVID event, is the enigmatic Sri Master Gano Grills. How are you this afternoon, my brother?
I'm doing well, and it's Gano, Sri Master Gano.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay.
Sri Master Gano Grills.
Yeah,
So,
that's all right.
yeah, we have a very fascinating guest joining us today, and I'm very excited about this discussion. So we're going to dive right in. So, Sri Master Gano Grills, what does being a spiritual advisor consist of? What kind of work is that you do as an advisor?
Well, I believe that there are people all around the planet who are servants to humanity, and they heed that clarion call from wherever it comes from. And being a spiritual advisor to me really encompasses my particular mission to empower, expand, enrich, and to hopefully enlighten, the people who are attracted to my work in the mission of 𝙈𝙗𝙨𝙯. So the responsibility is very decorated and voluminous, I say, because it lends itself to a lot of the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, if you will.
Okay, excellent. So I want to get into something that's fascinated me for a long time. I'm hoping you can provide us with some insights here, which is the discussion of numerology. Not per se a numerologist, but I've been interested in numerology, and I sort of associate different numbers with different ideas or different feelings, even. Like I think of the number 2 representing togetherness, or I think of the saying from Taoism where they say they say nothing created something, something created one, one created two, two created three, and three created the universe. So I just kind of, I look for symmetry in numbers. Actually, I got it from, I don't remember which family member it was, but maybe my cousin got me into making a wish when the numbers align. If you see 111 on the clock, make a wish. And now my son, he every time the numbers line up, he said, "Make a wish, Papa, make a wish." And then he's added other ways, like, oh, now we also make a wish when it's sequential numbers, when it's 1, 2, 3, 4,
Right.
or so I don't really know what to make of that, but I kind of think along those lines. So could you give us a little intro into numerology as you see it?
Well, I am not a numerologist, but I definitely have a very healthy respect for numbers. And it's funny because when I was in the 2nd and 3rd grade, I wanted to be a mathematician.
Huh.
And I knew that it had everything to do with the numbers. So early in my life in grade school, I had that connection. But what I would say in regards to my understanding of the numbers is that it's a tapestry that is very generous about lending itself to expediating certain truths, and it gives a format and a basis to confirm certain things. Case in point, with me, I happened to notice that there was a particular number that every time I turned around, I would see 444. And it was the beginning of a chapter in my life that has not relented since. I first started speaking publicly at 444 Atlantic Avenue. At that time, I noticed about 2 years before that I actually lived across the street from 444 Liberty Avenue in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And every day I walked out of my house, I would be faced with 444. And that's when I first noticed this. This was about 2009, actually. And I also noticed that things that were of merit and magnitude in my life usually had 444 behind it, or some computation of 448 12, which is 4 plus 4 plus 4, or 448, which is 4444, or 44 just by itself. It started to kind of present itself in a different way. When I started traveling abroad to Europe, I noticed also that that same dynamic, which I like to refer to as divine digital coding. I coined that phrase to differentiate what some people may refer to as angel numbers.
Mhm.
And I personally don't think that it's possible for 444 to mean the same thing for you as it does for me. So, what I have seen is that there are people that see a compendium of different numbers.
Mhm.
It might be their death date, it might be the day that they're due to leave this life. It might be a number that they're supposed to pay attention to because it might be the birth date of their ancestor who was following them and reverberating blessings into their lives. So I think personally that we see a confluence of numbers and all of them mean something different, individuated for the person who is seeing it.
Mhm.
The solution or the offer that I would give to anyone who's watching this and will be watching this, if there is a specific number that you're seeing, like 1, 2, 3, 11, 11, whatever it is, stop whatever it is that you're doing and put your hands in prayer position like this and close your eyes and align with the specific cause of why you've seen or why you are seeing the number and just simply say, I see that, I'm ready for more. What I happened to notice when I started doing that is that action opened up the mystery of why these numbers are appearing and what it means individual to me at that point.
Mhm.
But if you're not communing with the purpose of the number, it'll just be a whimsicality that happens that you don't have any further data for. So that's, just kind of what I noticed. And that's also what I would offer to anyone who is uh, aware enough to see these things and to be able to say, hey, wait a minute, I do see that number with a degree of regularity.
Right. Well, yeah, you mentioned 444, and that's rather interesting to me because the listeners of this program know that I host a monthly 528 jam session, and that's based on the research of my previous guest, two-time guest of the Bassline, Dr. 𝙈𝙗𝙁,
Mhm.
and he wrote the book of 528, and he's suggesting that all of our Western music is tuned incorrectly, and the correction would be to take the note A, which is normally 440, and that's supposed to be sharpened and corrected and aligned with 444, which then makes the corresponding note C 528. So
Right.
444 is significant to me because that's how I tune my bass at this
Wow.
point. And that's after years of playing as a professional musician and playing with what we call conventional 440 tuning. But when I'm
Right.
done playing with regular bands, I go home and I retune everything so that the note A is 444.
Wow.
Yeah, which, we could get into a whole thing about that. But, Dr. Horowitz, who's actually going to be in New York City, please save the date, guys, because we have a plan of doing a 528 jam session, and Dr. Horowitz is going to be there. He's going to be in New York City on June 26th. So for those of you who are really well organized, mark your calendars. June 26th, Dr. Horowitz is going to be there, and we're going to get all into the 528 frequency conversation.
Right.
But let's get right to these events that you're hosting this month. So one thing about this program, everybody, is we like to provide you with resources. We want you to tune in to the discussion, and we really appreciate that. But then partake in the information, partake in the archive of this program, share that information around. And in this case, we have a guest who's hosting a weekly series this month. So you can meet Sri Master Gano Grills very soon if you want to attend one of these events that he's going to describe for us right now. And that's what we're really trying to lean towards at this point is participation, not just sort of personally accumulating the information, but partaking in the information, sharing the information, real world connections. So tell us all about this event series that you're hosting this month,
Yes,
please.
thank you. Well, for every Sunday in the month of April, which we're in now, starting this particular Sunday, uh, April the 5th, 12th, 19th, and the 26th at Long Island University, located in Brooklyn, from 12 p.m. sharp to 4 p.m. sharp. We're going to be presenting a series called the Crescendo Awakening series, upon which we will start off with a light introduction, and then we'll be showing a 48-minute excerpt from one of our seminars that we've recorded. 𝙈𝙗𝙨𝙩𝙚 has an entire library of over 40 different presentations that we've conducted around the world. And I found it useful to isolate one of those excerpts or webisodes or episodes, and I would like to share it with the audience. And then after that, we do a brief Q&A based upon what it is that is inside of the presentation. And then after that, we'll have a brief break, and then we'll go into some tasty vegan food that we're going to be that's going to be sponsored by Uptown Veg, located up in Harlem, New York. And then after that, we're going to break off into subsets. So we have a sound station where people can get energetically powered up, if you will, with some type of sound healing. We have lots of different things that we're kind of figuring out how we're going to use, whether it's going to be singing bowls, selenite wands, tuning forks, all types of things that stabilize and clear out discordant energies within the auric field and basically give a baseline frequency that you can hold for a few days. We also will have reflexology, 𝙈𝙗𝙨𝙯𝙚, which is a system that I developed over 12 years that is not just Reiki, but it connects to higher forces that are in the universe that actually are harmonious and friendly to humans. And we're also going to have some other interesting surprises and lots of giveaways of some modalities that we have available, like a Like to Kiss. And this is going to be kind of like a public service give back. And that's a very important principle. And we do this every couple of years. After the series is over, we're going to take a break for a couple of weeks, and then we're going to go into our major seminar weekend, which happens May 15th, 16th, and 17th. And those seminars are going to be really world-class, cutting-edge spirituality. And one of the seminars is called Death, Money, and Dreams. And I go deep into everything that people don't know about death, money, and dreams, and how these teachings can make your life better, because a lot of people suffer and are really flummoxed by their financial instability and financial challenges and spiritual challenges. So when people have a way to understand why these things are happening and what it is you can do to rid your life stream of that, life takes a brand new meaning. That's just one of the 4 different seminars that we will be hosting at the Cumble Theater, which is located at LIU, which is right next door from the Library Learning Center that the Crescendo Awakening series will be happening in. And this is the flyer. And there's a QR code here, and we're asking that people pre-register so that we have to know who you are and what your email is. We can't just have people that are just, we don't have a connection to, because we're exposing you to other practitioners. And this is the calendar here, and these are the 4 free events, and these are the times. It's pretty specific. I don't know. Can you see this? Yeah. Okay. I'm just saying. So if anybody wants to take that. So we're really, really excited to, to bring that forth. And it's going to be a lot of fun for people who are spiritualists and people who just feel like they need to have, I think, a dose of something that gives them inspiration, hope, and maybe some type of empowerment.
Excellent. So just to be clear, please give us all the info that someone would need listening right now on the radio. How does someone register? Just explain
Yes.
that slowly so that everyone can go, so everyone can grab their pencil or maybe type it right into the browser right now.
Absolutely. For anyone who's interested, you can register at 𝙈𝙗𝙤𝙪, which is spelled GALIGHTICUS.com, and the events page will pop up. You could sign up for the newsletter if you like, or you could go straight to where you can register for either four or all four of those dates in April. And once again, that's 𝙈𝙗𝙤𝙪.com, GALIGHTICUS. And these events will be happening at Long Island University in Brooklyn, across the street from the world famous Juniors, right at the bottom of the Brooklyn Bridge and Manhattan Bridge.
Okay, excellent. So let's talk about your forthcoming book. You have a book that's about to be released. Is that correct?
Yes, the goal is to finish these two books actually that I started working on 5 years ago.
Okay.
And it's really difficult to juggle the demands of, Galacticus and my personal life and all of those things. But I finally have finished the manuscript for a book entitled The Big Picture. That was a seminar that I presented 4 times in 2017 and 2018. And it's predominantly about the conspiracy of Donald Trump, and a book that was written, or two books that were written in the late 1800s by a man named Ingersoll Lockwood. And he had two books that have some very interesting parallels of Donald Trump. And it's very, very interesting. So even back then, when I did a lot of research to find how this is related to Donald Trump. And I made an entire seminar about it and things that surround that. Like, there was a guy who was slated to run for president in 2016 named Andrew Basayago. Have you ever heard of him before?
Don't recall him, no.
Very, very interesting attorney that purports to have been part of a Mars jumping program, who claims that Donald Trump is a time traveler, and who says that he was part of an experiment that the government funded that brought him back to the Gettysburg Address in 1972 when he was only 12 years old. And there is a photo in the infancy of our photography that shows a little kid standing there. And this is way before AI. And he has very clear recollection of everything regarding to that. He's so exciting to listen to. So I put all of these things into a seminar called The Big Picture. Also, Nikola Tesla was someone who basically had a degree of what it was to be able to time travel. So I tied all of these things together, and just reading the first 2 chapters today, along with the forward, I realized that I'm going to have a really healthy, strong disclaimer. Like, the views in this book are, conspiratorial and for entertainment purposes, because I don't want to have an X on my back, but I also don't want to I don't want people to feel paranoid. But there are just too many things about these topics that are wildly punctuated for them not to have some type of base in truth. That's one of the books, and it's called The Big Picture. There's another book that I am done with. I just am in the stage of finding images to go inside of the book to supplement, because nobody wants to read a book that doesn't have really colorful, engaging images. And this book is called a Dream Decode book, where I've taken hundreds of dreams that people that I know and some people that I don't know, and have decoded the spiritual meaning of what these dreams mean. And a lot of these dreams have certain beings that pop up in the dreams, like Lord Ganesha, Lord Thoth, All Father Odin, a lot of the gods that we know from different pantheons throughout the history of what we consider to be spirituality and divine. They appear in these books. So I'm giving the significance of why these beings are connected to the people who had these dreams that we call recordings. And that's about a 300-page book that it's been a labor of love putting that together, and I want to release those books at the same time. Hopefully by December we'll be able to do that.
Okay, great. So, how can people either pre-order the book, or how can people be notified when they're published?
That's a great question. So we're going to release a newsletter after this May seminar weekend, and we're going to start the process of allowing people to pre-order those books. And again, that'll be on 𝙈𝙗𝙤𝙪.com, 𝙈𝙗𝙤𝙪. Everything is there. It's a pretty decorated website that has all of the goings on of what it is that we're doing.
Excellent, excellent. So, I want to stop just for a moment to plug this show and the various ways that you can support this show. And before I do that, I want to invite you to call. The number here, of course, is 888-874-4888. So, we'd love to hear from you. Please get in the queue, and it would be great to take some phone calls today. If you guys have any questions or any comments, and we're going to venture into some topics that are familiar to the audience in just a moment. But I want to say, first of all, go to frontierfarm.com. That's FRONTIERPHARM.com, Frontier Farm with a PH. And the discount code is the Bassline. Frontier Farm is the leader in the chlorine dioxide revolution. They make great products in terms of oral hygiene, skin care, wound care, all kinds of things. So check out that catalog and make use of your discount code, the Bassline, with the space in between the two words, capital THE space BASSLINE. Also, privateiptvaccess.com. That's privateiptvaccess.com, and the code there is 𝙎𝙈𝙂𝙀. And I'll tell you that for a very reasonable price, an unbelievably good price, actually, I'll say, you'll get all the television in the world. So I watch sporting events on this system, but I've actually realized, you know what? I need to watch international television to see what's going on with the war in Iran, because there is a blackout. There's a media blackout. Israel does not want the world to see the damage being inflicted within the national territory of Israel. And our media has completely complied with that. And the social media has complied with that as well. So get yourself some IPTV, and you can tune in to news broadcasts around the world and see the images that you are frankly not being shown on legacy media or even on social media. Also, check out Jeremiah Hosea on Substack, and you just go to substack.com, type in Jeremiah Hosea. Please check out my new article. It's called The Bassline. It's about this program, and I ask that you like that, you share that, and it gives a little bit of a background about this program. But another thing that makes this article I just published a very good resource is that it has all 136 episodes of this program on a list. So you don't have to sort of scroll around or wait for any additional page to load or anything like that. Every interview is there, so you can just scroll through that and you can go back and find the episodes you wanted to listen back to, or the episodes that you missed. You can find the episodes that you specifically want to share with particular individuals, depending on their interests, their background. And of course, jeremiahhosea.com. That's where you can find my music, including the theme song of this show. And we have April 26th is the next 528 frequency jam session at Rock Mill. So save that date. Yes, we are doing an April 528 jam session. Please come through. The last jam session was incredibly fun. We had a great crowd there. People were just vibing, dancing, and everyone leaves with a glowing smile. And then also, End All Tyranny is our X community. So tonight at 9 p.m., we're going to have the Bassline Extra. That's what we've been doing every Friday night on the End All Tyranny platform. That's a growing community. We're about 12 members shy of 500. We're not even 2 months old, or I guess, no, we just turned 2 months old. and we have almost 500 members. So if you haven't joined that community, please go ahead and do so. Please tune in. We have great guests. We have great community members sharing information, and you're free to take a mic there as well to share your insights, observations, opinions, etc. So those are all the announcements. And yeah, please make use of all those resources. But let's get to something that we discuss here on a regular basis, which is the COVID event. I've written a lot of articles about that. I've had a lot of guests who are specialists in one form or another discussing different aspects of that. But from the point of view of a spiritual advisor, a spiritualist, and an esotericist, if you don't mind me using the term.
Not at all.
Okay, great. So what were your reactions during that period in terms of, one, the fear frenzy that was happening around COVID, and then two, the coercion that happened pertaining to the mass inoculation that was subsequent to the fear around COVID? The fear and the coercion. What are some of your thoughts, some of your insights about that?
Well, I think the fear aspect of it was really dichotomous in terms of uh, people being on one side of the pendulum, being proactive by taking the jab, if you will, and then other people like myself that were was adamant about it. We have your producer Liz. Her and I are very, very close, and I said, Liz, I love you very much. We're very close. I forbid you to take this inoculation. And I told everybody in my family the same thing.
Mm,
It's the first time that I ever felt like, forbid is a really strong word. It's like, I forbid you
right.
to do it. Some people in my family did not acquiesce to that to their detriment, as far as I believe. But I just felt like from the very beginning, we've lost a lot of people, friends that we know to the COVID and, the tube and all of the things that came with that. But it was the first time in my life that I have ever seen the entire world on sabbatical, a forced sabbatical. That was really scary because a lot of people could say that, it's the government, but what do you do when this is happening in India, China, Africa? Like, I've
Mm-hmm.
seen people being beat because they weren't supposed to be outside, as the kids say, we outside.
Mm-hmm.
So it's scary. And I would say that I really feel for the people who have white collar, blue collar jobs and had no other choice, to keep their livelihood and to sustain their mortgages, rent, lifestyles, and family. They had to take that jab. What do you do? You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? I think that that was a precursor to, I do believe that there will come a time where people will have to choose whether or not they're going to live by the things that live and die, possibly by what they believe,
Mm-hmm.
or if they will fall in line with whatever agenda is placed before them. And this is really more of a character thing about morality and what you believe, and how far in the paint are you willing to go by what you believe. The
Mm-hmm.
principle of who you are is determined by things like this. You know what I mean? Some people, like I said, they had no other choice, and my heart goes out to them. So, we could talk all day about that. I would probably need more of a lensed, didactic question to speak about that specificity in detail, but that's my overall balloon feeling of it.
Right. Okay. Well, let me ask you then if you could just give us a little bit of your firsthand account in terms of, have you seen vaccine injury? To what extent have you witnessed the fallout of this? Because everyone sort of
Oh,
has their own
yeah,
particular experience with that. I mean, there are people who
yeah.
have lost multiple family members. There are people who have lost friends and family. There are people who have new serious health problems. Some people have the courage to make the connection, and some people remain sort of unaware of the fact that, yes, this new serious health issue that you're
Mhm.
dealing with is a direct result of that injection. So just what have you seen offhand in terms of the effects?
I believe that I've seen a myriad of all of what you have just spoken. The first, when it was before it was identified as COVID, 𝙬𝙗𝙪. We had a friend, he was one of the first to succumb to that. And he was very, very afraid. You know, he ended up in the hospital with what he thought a blood clot or something like that. Come to find out, it was COVID related. I know people that I'm very close to that took the jab. MW, well, you know, the blonde haired from over there. Uh, I have a very good friend who is maybe, well, first of all, let me go back a little bit just to give a substratus. I'm 58 right now in 2026, and I'm very proud of that. And I came up during the measles, mumps, chicken pox era. I remember those inoculations that we had to take, and it's very different from what this COVID Pfizer vaccine is from those. And a lot of people had a very good convincing argument that, well, you know, this is what it's always been. We need to take these inoculations, and this is the new one. Had it not been for all of the people in Europe, all of the health practitioners, doctors and nurses and health professionals who were bold enough to make videos of pleading with people around the world not to take the jab because of the things that they have seen, now it becomes a question of how serious are you about your life that you're going to do lateral research that pertains to you. And I've seen enough videos. I actually started building a library where I would take the videos, rip the videos down that I felt was plausible to me and put it in a folder because I know those videos might not be there too much longer. Come to find out, a lot of those videos are not, but they're great research materialistically in terms of supporting why you shouldn't take the jab, whereas many people who didn't take the time to research why they shouldn't take it is exactly the reason why there are people who end up, you know, in concentration camps and things like that. The people that saw the Blitzkrieg sweeping over Europe in 1939, they saw Adolf Hitler coming into power and they said, oh, this isn't good. They left. The people that stayed behind, it was too late. A lot of them ended up being lampshades and, you know, excuse my seeming insensitivity if I'm just rattling it off, but this is a real thing. For people who don't study history, you're bound to repeat it. So I've seen people, our friend that we were talking about, I have a friend who lives in Portland, Oregon. She's a nurse. She took the jab and she confided in me that she has not been the same ever since. She wished she hadn't taken it. And we know a few handful of peoples, again, you know, they went to the hospital and died of the complications due to that. So, you know, I've seen every part of the repercussion and the ramifications of this COVID thing. And I'm glad that I'm still here. Another interesting thing is that the vaccines, you know, once you take that, you become transhuman. So you are no longer a sovereign citizen with your own autonomy. You're now someone who is now taken out of the Constitution because you are now a transhuman because you have the biology of what is in that. And that's so subversive that people didn't see that play happening. So it's frightening to see that a lot of powers that be in the world, like Bill Hates, I call him, has kind of receded into the cut. He's nowhere near as prevalent in the light or on the scales of the media as he once was. But he's very him and his wife, I believe, who were no longer together, him and his ex-wife, they say that they were part of the eugenics movement. So it's very interesting that the elites feel that our world or our planet is overpopulated, which is ridiculous. It's not overpopulated. It's overpopulated to them because they feel like regular hardworking denizens who are not billionaires shouldn't be in the same room with them and breathe the same oxygen as them. So they see most humanity as roaches. But there are plenty of places on this planet to live that are uninhabited, that haven't been developed yet. So that is a misnomer. I also believe that, and I'm going to take you way out for a minute.
Go ahead.
You ready to go out like the Flintstones?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. So I believe that the elites talk to, I believe, and I'm going to pose this as a hypothetical, there are star races that have touched down on this planet. If you don't believe that, look up Roswell in 1947. Look up what happened when we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It was when we've taken a major jump in numbers, in mathematics, in our silicon and technologies that didn't come from us and our intelligence. I believe it came from the extraterrestrials that touched down on this planet after we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And they said, "What are you doing? You almost cracked the earth with the atoms. That's is something you cannot do." And the star races don't breach the prime directive of announcing themselves on a football field or during the Olympics. They could have easily have done that, but they don't breach the prime directive of disturbing the peace and the free will of ignorance of people. So I believe that they also follow the code, which is we have to go to who's in power. That would be the governments and the ruling factions of this world. Let's say hypothetically they go to them and say, "Hey, we're willing to give you a certain amount of things that will bring you a lot more money, a lot more enjoyment out of your life, but you have to promise us that you're not going to use the atom bomb anymore. You're not going to split the atom the wrong way and cause nuclear fusion instead of nuclear fission. If you can make us this promise, we will give you this cachet of things that come from our uh, supreme intelligence." I believe that deal was made in the late 40s, and that is what has led to our quantum jump in electronics, in the Silicon Valley, all of the things that prove that we're moving on and we're evolving. Again, those things don't come from us. I also believe that they asked the people in power, being the presidents, the Queen of England at the time, and certain other people who all might have sat in the room. This is hypothetical, and say, "What do you guys want?" And I also believe that the ruling factions of our planet at the time were told, "You need to cut down on your population of the planet. And this is how you could do it with plausible deniability. Chemtrails, BPH, GMO, all of the things that will deduce the population." And I don't believe that came from the maniacal John D. Rockefeller and Big Pharma. I think that came from a higher malefic race of entities that have the knowledge of how to kind of subvert the human race. And I also believe that this particular inoculation is one of those things. I also believe that, the way that it was planned with Dr. Fauci and certain other people, this is how we introduce this, and this is what it will do. And how many people would you say died during the COVID era, off the top of the head?
You're talking about COVID itself or from the shots?
From both.
Those are two different numbers that I can assure you are not accurate numbers for a lot of specific reasons.
Okay.
But I mean, first of all, as far as the number of people who died from COVID, we can't trust that figure because of PCR fraud.
Right.
The misuse of the PCR test just muddied the waters to an extent that we don't have an accurate figure on that. And then as far as the shots themselves, there's the estimate of 17 million, which is from the research of Denis Rancourt and others. And that might be an underestimate, but maybe it's an overestimate, some would say. I would say it's probably an underestimate. But I wrote an article called Radio Silence that explains why these deaths will not be recorded accurately. And there's sort of a lot of what I call built-in cover-ups. For example,
Right.
anybody who's above the age of 60, and that increases the older you get, 70, 80, 90, if you took a shot and you died from that, we just say, well, you never know when you're going to go. But meanwhile, no, your life was shortened. You took a shot when you were 90 and you're supposed to live till you were 99, but you died when you were 91.
Right.
Or another built-in cover-up are the people with pre-existing conditions. They had diabetes, lupus, what have you. They managed those conditions. They took the shot and they died. They said, oh, they had lupus, they had diabetes. Well, yeah, they were doing okay. They took the shot and then they died. Another thing is, which is a huge factor in all of this, is that you weren't considered vaccinated, quote unquote, unless you took 2 shots and 14 days transpired. So if
Right.
you took 1 shot and died, you were an unvaccinated death when
Hmm.
really you died from the COVID shot. Or if you took 2 shots and died within that 14-day window, again, you're an unvaccinated death. But no, the reality is you died from the shot, but it was not recorded as such.
I would say, and even with all of that, be that as it may, this is nothing that is new. If you go to the book of Deuteronomy and you look and you say, right, it does say that my spirit will not always strive with man, therefore his days shall be 150. That's the Old Testament. But prior to that, humans lived, like Methuselah lived for 965 years, give or take 3 or 4 years. We were very, very long lived people that lived just shy of 1,000 years. If you go back to Ashurbanipal and you go back to the Sumerians kings list, those kings lived for thousands of years. These are cylindrical clay tablets that are housed in the British Museum right there in London. And I've been there several times and I've seen certain artifacts with my own eyes. So, what is it about humanity that has to do with the need for us to have a lower and lower lifespan? Someone who would live 150 years now is an anomaly. We live half of that now. And for certain melanated people, black men, that's an old age. I was on the train one time and I saw a man, he was sitting to my left. I kept looking I couldn't stop looking at him. He was an old man with a cane. He must have been about 85. And then it hit me. Oh, I don't see elderly black men that often.
Hmm.
He was well dressed and he was an old man. You don't really see that. So I think that there is somewhat of an agenda to shorten not only the human lifespan, but to quell or to cull the population of the alleged 8.7.5 billion people on the planet with all manner of attacks. That's my personal belief based upon things that I've seen over the past 20 or 30 years.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, the average person can't relate to that, thankfully, because they don't want to just kill people and remove people from the planet. But I
Right.
think if you are someone who considers yourself elite, it could be conceivable to my mind that you can get into a mindset that you don't want to deal with these dirty people. You don't want to deal with that person who's obstructing the exit. You don't want this so-called common person or this lesser person sitting in the same restaurant as you.
Let's let's play the devil's advocate for a minute. Let's
Sure.
burn the candle from the other side of the other end. I sometimes come across people who are, for lack of a better term, undesirable. You go to a restaurant or you get on the bus or a train and you have people that we're not talking about people that are financially uh, challenged. We're talking about people with poor character that just talk loud, that just behave badly, that are pariahs to society, if you will.
Hmm.
Is it wrong to fantasize about the absence of those people from humanity? Is it wrong to consider what our planet would be like without people who don't do it the right way? Does that make me, a bad person because I say, it would really be nice if I moved to a neighborhood that is free of crackheads,
Yeah.
of gangbangers, of Nazis or whomever. I
Hmm.
would like to live in a neighborhood that is free of all of that.
Yeah.
So you have certain people that also take that a little too far. But my question is, at what point do we draw the line? And at what point is it right or wrong to consider what life would be like without certain kinds of people on the planet. Do we have the right to insist upon quality of character or certain kinds of uh, morality and things like that? And I think that's kind of where the lines get blurred. It's pretty tricky.
Yeah, I agree. I totally identify with what you're describing there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I saw the
A-
smile on your face. I'm like, I don't want to be like Margaret Sanger,
right.
but I don't know
Or Bill
if I
Gates
could
Senior
really.
or Junior.
Right. You know
Right.
what I mean? If they feel the way about the general populace of humanity and they see us less than just because we don't have up into the hundreds of millions of dollars into the billions, that's, I think, a very, very skewed mindset. You know what I mean? But we're living in that repercussion right now. It's very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think that when it comes to dealing with, for example, mental health issues, I know you weren't referring exclusively to that. You're referring, like you said, to just people's character.
Right.
But when I, one
Strictly.
thing I think about when I see the conditions in New York City, it's like my grandfather referred to society as an open air asylum.
Hmm.
And, I'm seeing more and more people, I think, who have they've lost it. They've lost their marbles. You don't frankly want these people around your children. You don't want this person sitting on your front steps when you're exiting your apartment building, what have you. And, unlike other issues, we can't just throw money at that issue.
Hmm.
Like there's gonna, if we're talking about just mental health specifically, for example, that's gonna require people who really care about other people and have the endurance really and the type of spirit that could help care for the psychologically damaged, the dysfunctional people of the world, and those people will require an incredible amount of support as well. But I find it to be unique in the sense that we can't just throw money at the issue. There's a
Hmm.
lot of problems that you could kind of just throw money at the issue and you'll fix the problem to a large extent. But when we talk about the damage that's been done to human individuals, that requires a deeper level of care, a deeper level of insight. And not everybody is endowed with that kind of quality to really say, I will take the time to care for the psychologically damaged.
Right. Right.
So we only have a few minutes left here. Unfortunately, time flies when you're having a riveting discussion.
I agree.
But just reiterate, so we're not scrambling in the last minute. Please reiterate, Sri Master Gano Grills. How do people follow your work? How do people get connected with all that you're doing?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. You could find 𝙈𝙗𝙤𝙀, which is the name of the movement, all across all social media platforms. We have pages on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and we have our own website, which is the mothership of everything, which is 𝙈𝙗𝙤𝙀. And feel free to check us out and sign up for our newsletter. And I like to refer to 𝙈𝙗𝙀 as the spiritual college that really helps people to evolve from wherever you are consciously at the moment to however far you'd like to go. And I hope that, the audience will come out and uh, spend some time with us at the Crescendo Awakening series every Sunday at LIU of April. And that will be not tomorrow, April 5th.
The day after tomorrow.
Right. April 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th at the Learning Library Center at LIU, which is located in Brooklyn. And for those people who are heavyweights and who are ready for a more robust meal, come to join us for our big seminar weekend, which is in May 15th, 16th, and 17th, located at LIU at the Combo Theater, to be specific. Also, this is really more the Crescendo Awakening series, which is a free event. I am advocating that people from the tri-state area come on out. New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Long Island, even Philadelphia. There are some people we know that are in the DMV that are coming, which is DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And it's going to be well worth your trip, and you'll be powered up. So, we're looking forward to seeing people during
Great.
those
And
times.
just one more time, spell 𝙬𝙗𝙤𝙪 for us so
Yes.
everyone's perfectly clear about that.
Yes. 𝙬𝙗𝙤𝙪 is spelled �GALIGHTICUS. Once again. And I said H because that's how they say H in Europe. And I've been to Europe so many times. I've kind of been infected with their manner of speak. 𝙬𝙗𝙤𝙪.com is GALIGHTICUS.com. We're also prevalent on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. And, we'd be happy to meet your audience.
That is excellent. So I also forgot to mention, of course, I'm a chess teacher. So I didn't mention on my list of ways to support this program. Please contact me for a chess lesson. I'm the founder of RemoteLearningChess.com. Right now would be an incredible time to get involved with the game. The Candidates Tournament is happening. That is the best players in the world competing to see who is going to compete for the next Chess World Championship. And so far, the event has been absolutely thrilling. So I just wanted to let people know you don't have to be a great chess player to know enough about chess to enjoy the beauty of the game, which is full of drama and life lessons. And it promotes good health, actually. A lot of people don't know there is a genuine health benefit to chess because it gets those neurotransmitters firing and it helps stave off dementia, Alzheimer's, and those other degenerative diseases of the brain. So make an investment, support this program, and invest in yourself. Contact me for a chess lesson. I'll break it all down for you. If you've never played before, I will teach you from scratch. If you've played a little bit but don't know any theory, we'll get right into the theory, going back to Greco, the first professional chess player in world history, up to the modern game and how it's played today. So we are just about out of time, unfortunately. But I want to thank you, Master Gano Grills, Sri Master Gano Grills. And yeah, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. And I encourage the listeners to follow up and go to the 𝙬𝙗𝙤𝙪 website and come and check out these seminars starting this Sunday and just get connected to that network of insight and wisdom. So I want to thank you guys. And also, please tune in tonight. End All Tyranny is our X space, and we're going to do a follow-up. That's the Bassline Extra tonight, 9 p.m. on X. And you can find my profile at 𝙤𝙗𝙗𝙪. So look up at 𝙤𝙗𝙗𝙪 on X and make sure to join the End All Tyranny community. So again, thank you for listening. Everyone have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend and keep fighting the good fight. We'll see you next week or hopefully tonight and hopefully on Sunday at this event at Long Island University. Everyone take care. Peace and love.